Archive. Hey guys, Tyler here. We're gonna watch the RD Archives soon. We're gonna watch the news real quick. Then we're gonna watch the RD Archives. So yeah, guys, we'll start soon. But right now we're gonna see the RD Archives. I just got home from work. I got some stuff to do. I'm gonna watch the RD Archives in a little bit, which is odd because they're on today. They're usually not on today, but today they're on because today is a holiday, which we'll look at that a little bit later. Oh yeah, guys, we're watching the audio archives in a little bit. Right now, I'm gonna watch the news. Then I'll do it. I'll watch local news real quick. Then I'm gonna do it. But yeah, guys, I got some stuff happening. Also, I might gotta tell the crew something. When I see the crew later, I'm gonna have to tell them some good news.
Excuse me, I have to get. The new season of Young Sheldon, Thursday, October 7th on CBS.
Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. That's food. This is food. If you're new to the channel, I'm nuts. Today we're gonna watch the archives because it's a special one today. He's on early and it's a long one. Like it's over 30 minutes long. So yeah, I'm gonna see that in a little bit. Right now I'm gonna eat some of this real quick. Then I will.
Get up.
Get ready.
Let's go. Turn to News Channel 3. Protect and alert you every weekday morning.
Ghirardelli caramel squares. Makes life a bite better.
Get your outdoor projects done right with Menards. With the best selection of pressure-treated lumber and the inventory to back it up. Now is the time to get that outdoor project you've been meaning to get to done. Best yet, we've made it convenient for you to get in and get out. Whichever the project, Menards has the pressure-treated lumber to get it done.
Save big money at Menards.
Older Menards just look like that. Since I have a newer Menards, it doesn't look like that. They burned it. They burnt it. They burnt this stuff.
Trust the News Channel 3 IT to protect and alert you.
Take a look. Live right now, protesters have gathered at a homeless encampment being shut down today. We talk with people staying there about what they plan to do next. At this very moment in Lansing, Governor Gretchen Whitmer is going through the state budget to sign off on it. For the line, she's already prepared to cross out. And soon, when you get that 2 o'clock feeling, here's something that'll give you a jolt. Free coffee. Where and why? You can get a cup of Joe at no cost today. News Channel 3 Live at Noon starts right now.
Covering West Michigan to protect and alert you. This is News Channel 3, live at noon.
I'm not going to Starbucks or Hall or Ridge Cuts.
Thanks for joining us on News Channel 3 Live at Noon. I'm Laura Painter. People at a Kalamazoo homeless encampment will be looking for places to stay tonight. In the next several hours, the city says it plans to clear people out of the encampment starting at 5 o'clock tonight. Right now, News Channel 3's Mike Kravsik is live from Amherst Avenue,
65.
where a protest is now underway. Mike.
Yeah, Laura, take a look. You can see the crowd right here. They've been here all morning, hours. There are not hours before the city council plans to evacuate the encampment site. Homeless advocates and people living out here are protesting right now the city's decision to close this encampment. Some living in tents and makeshift shelters now tell me they don't know where they'll go come 5 o'clock. Others say they won't leave the site. City leaders say they are closing the encampment because of increased crime, violence, and concerns from nearby business owners and residents. The city tells us it's collaborating with outreach and shelter groups. Several volunteer groups are out here today helping the homeless with the move. The question where they go is still in question tonight. Some advocates say there's no good options once people here are forced to leave this evening.
To leave here with no viable solution is not an answer. That doesn't make the problem go away. It just makes it worse and harder for them to receive the services they need.
You can't create a space for them to go and then kick them out and just expect them to figure it out.
Again, you're looking at a group of protesters that are disputing the city's decision to remove residents from the Keaton site. Nearly 200 people moved here after the city cleared the Mill Street site back in April. We've been trying to talk to city leaders about their plans today, but so far, no city officials have agreed to talk with us on camera. I'm Kalamazoo, Mike Kripsing, News Channel 3.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Had an active scene, a loud group gathering right there. You'll be out there live at 5 once that deadline hits. Again, that's at 5. And for those of you at home, make sure you tune in to News Channel 3 for that update. I want to take you live outside now over downtown Kalamazoo at this noon, looking great right in the middle of the day. Jeff, October starts Friday. I mean, this feels kind of like June.
Yeah, you can take it really any part of summer. Lauren, thank you very much. Same blue skies that you saw in Kalamazoo. We've got right now in Marshall. I want to give you this live look out over Michigan Avenue. Look at the lunchtime bustle here. And we've got 74 at 2 o'clock, 78 at 5. A couple of backyards may actually be close to 80 degrees. This is a look in South Haven, where it's currently 69. South-southeast winds 3 miles per hour. Very light wind profile in play. Also 69 in Kalamazoo, 67 Battle Creek and Marshall. It is already 71 in Holland. At the lakeshore this afternoon, southeast winds light here 5 miles per hour. Glassy surface waters of Lake Michigan, very low wave action. Tomorrow morning, we've got lower 50s. This is hour by hour, 7 a.m. Thursday morning. When it will rain over the weekend and how much rain to expect. Laura, that's coming up next.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you. A Michigan man is found dead with a winning lottery ticket in his wallet. The Caseville police say the body of Gregory Jarvis was found on a Huron County beach. According to Fox News, the 57-year-old won $45,000 on Keno earlier this month. An autopsy reveals Jarvis drowned. Caseville police think he had an accident while tying up his boat. Jarvis's relatives will be able to collect his lottery winnings. Michigan's health department redefines what qualifies as a COVID-19 outbreak. An outbreak is now classified as at least 3 positive cases in students or staff. The state's previous standard was 2 confirmed infections. The state health department says it's following
It's cold in here.
set by the Council of State and Territorial Epidemiologists.
YouTube.
The next full outbreak report will be released Monday.
I don't know if this is baking off. It doesn't matter. At least this is baking off. Okay, we're going to watch the Artie Archives, guys, and then that's about all we're going to do. As long as I'm not naked, I really don't care. I'll still upload videos. Okay, so let's watch the Artie Archives, because I haven't seen it yet, and it's a long one today, so that's the reason I'm even in. That's why I'm even doing the live stream right at lunchtime anyways. Tara, I mean, you always do, yeah. I know, but, you know. So here we go, guys. 40 minutes long. Over 40 minutes long.
It is so peaceful here. I mean, look at our teams. They could be missing deadlines, are they? We never know.
Yeah, we should know. We definitely should know.
When teams work in silos, it's hard to know what's really going on. With Asana, everybody sees what needs to get done. Try Asana today for free.
It's time to help people customize and save living nature.
I'm like 8. Nope, not yet. I'll do it later. Yeah, I'll do it later. But silent movies, it's weird. Was this movie like silent movie or something? Then go sepia. Some dog sepia. That's cold. Oh, that's old. Yep, silent treatment. Some of the silent films. And welcome to the Art Archives, where I finally shut up. Come on. I know you're going to start talking. Come on, Ben, talk. Come on, Ben, talk. There we go.
So anyway, as I was saying, or reminding, we've had to bump up the release date of this week's episode by a day. And that's so we can coincide with the first now international Silent Movie Day. Do I keep wanting to call it Silent Film Day? But regardless,
Film Movie Day,
September 29. So obviously, this being the first year, there really isn't much of a history lesson to give. But my understanding is that this comes to us from the head of the Pittsburgh Silent Film Society, an organization I had never heard of up until very, very recently. But I guess his rationale was that, well, there's already a day for pretty much everything else. International Talk Like a Pirate Day, anyone? So, of course, why not a day dedicated to celebrating silent film? So, with that, admittedly, that's not really a big staple of the archive. I think we've only gone into any real depth on it maybe twice and touched on it, I think, 4 or 5 times in almost a decade now. But in spite of that, I feel like I'm probably the most sympathetic to silent film preservation, and I think I can really safely say that I am the most attuned to the art form out of anyone else in the whole YouTube reviewer sphere. So with that, admittedly, today's episode is going to be a little bit of a mess. So I'm going to try and hit as many targets as I can in what I think is going to be a 35 to 40 minute episode. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to kick things off with my own story with silent film, you know, what caught my attention, how I got into it, and what kind of impact it's had on me. And then after that, it's going to become more of a beginner's guide to silent film. So we'll start casually chatting about some movies, good entry points, the odd book, and I'll try and give you some tips and tricks on, say, how to pick out a good DVD or Blu-ray. But yeah, this is going to be one of our looser episodes. And that's saying quite a bit. But anyway, let's kick things off with that personal story time. So let's turn the clock back to 1990, in which a much younger, cuter version of old Benny Boy gets the ever-loving hell scared out of him by some dude in a bowler hat and an obviously fake, undersized mustache.
Not seen this yet, so.
You remember Goldilocks, the kid who used to take her meals at the Three Bears place? Nowadays, she heads for with 21 kinds of great pizza.
At the dawn of the 90s, my family was living in West Suburban Chicago. Is there any other kind? And one
you in Chicago?
I periodically went to was some pizza place, and maybe it was a Shakey's, that showed public domain silent movies on the wall. This is where I first saw Charlie Chaplin's Little Tramp character.
I saw little Charlie Chaplin do City.
Coupled with some tinkly and unrelated ragtime music, scared the ever-loving hell out of me. Bear in mind, I was also that kid that dove behind the couch whenever the emergency broadcast system test would come on.
So you're from Chicago, Ben? So you're from Chicago, Ben? Ooh, you should move back to Chicago.
I
Heck,
think
you
that
should move to Michigan.
EBS started my lifelong habit of pursuing those things that scared me and ultimately making peace
There goes
with, if not
there goes the
outright
scrapper.
embracing those things.
Love the scrapper.
Granted, it took a long time. As for Chaplin, probably about as late as 1996, whenever I saw The Little Tramp, I'd avert my eyes, or if it was on TV, change the channel. In 1998, my curiosity of these weird, distant, foreign to me oddities got the best of me.
The one I remember watching
and
was Pink
I
Panther.
finally attempted to watch some silence, just avoiding Chaplin at first. I don't know if it was the first silent I ever saw a decent amount of, but I seem to remember seeing part of the first film attempt at The Cat and the Canary from 1927
Wow.
on AMC, and being simultaneously transfixed and horrified.
The Cat and the Canary.
Not long thereafter, AMC reran it at 4 or 5 a.m. on some obscure weekday morning. Having seen the listing for it in the newspaper's weekly TV guide, kind of a Bible to me back then, I popped in a tape and set the timer. I noticed that there was another silent being shown first, Buster Keaton's Sherlock Jr.
Ooh.
I recognized the Keaton name from somewhere and opted to record both movies. Despite being an especially surreal film, and in all fairness, most of it is a dream sequence, I found Keaton to be a friendly and relatable presence. That, and I was blown away by the
Oh, I've seen this one before.
Oh yeah, and the whole
He broke his
movie
neck.
Clocks in at 45 minutes, making it especially easy to take.
Oh,
While I
he broke his
did
neck.
watch and eventually embrace Cat and the Canary, Sherlock Jr. proved to be my gateway drug into the silence. In 1999, my family switched from cable to satellite TV. With it came Turner Classic Movies. Upon finding out about their still ongoing Silent Sunday Night feature, I began semi-regularly recording the late night feature.
You record
and
tapes
over
off
the
a
next
CD,
few
off a
years,
satellite? You can't do that, I thought.
of D.W.
Me, I do
Griffith
cable.
and F.W. Murnau and all those directors with the good initial names that end in
I used to record off cable with tape.
as well as the performances of Lon Chaney, Lillian Gish, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, Rudolph Valentino, Theda Bara, Harold Lloyd, and several others. Oh yeah, and I finally embraced Chaplin. Jumping back to 1998, I started periodically picking up public domain silence on VHS out of the bargain bin. Alas, save for a couple of cheap Chaplin box sets, I ultimately gave away or sold those tapes. Between the cheapy tapes and my constant use of EP mode on the VCR, I grew accustomed to an often muddy, barely discernible, often surreal soup of hazy, lost images. Coupled with my habit of listening to Pink Floyd, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Derek and the Dominoes while watching these, and well, let's just say I didn't need any artificial stimulation. Aside from those tapes, the silence were what prodded me into getting my first film projector, an
Ooh.
ancient Keystone Standard 8 silent
Keystone? I thought it was
projector
K-
from no later than
That was a Kodak.
1962. Alas, this projector gave its life to the archive in 2017. Anyway, over time, I built up silence on 8 and Super 8 millimeter, Betamax, CED, Laserdisc, VCD, DVD, and Blu-ray. Hell, the whole reason I got a Laserdisc player in the first place was because a player and the 3 volumes of the Art of Buster Keaton set was cheaper than what the DVD set sold for in 2003.
Still today, they're expensive.
With more illumination rather than lighting.
I guess what really cemented my interest in the silence and raised my respect levels thereof was TCM's habit in the early 2000s of running film documentaries late every Friday afternoon, oftentimes documentaries about the silence. The one that really stands out was Kevin Brownlow's 1980 13-part opus, Hollywood, a celebration of the American silent film, which TCM reran over the span of several weeks in probably 2001. While parts of Hollywood are available via Amazon Prime streaming as of September 2021, I question the legality of it. It's obviously sourced from VHS and is super compressed. As such, as it stands, you will have to pry my Laserdisc copy of this sucker from my cold, dead hands.
Damn.
Anybody know how to get in touch with Mr. Brownlow? As for long-lasting impacts, well, for one, if you're insane enough to have followed my Ben's music career sub-series,
I did.
You know that the silence often informed my stabs at music, lasting my entire run from 2001 to 2011. This here Oddity Archive is probably the only show on YouTube insane enough to drop the odd reference to Paul Lenny films like it's perfectly normal. And even if my consumption of the silence in recent years has been confined to the odd Blu-ray or Fleabag Laserdisc, it's never completely gone out of my life. Nor do I expect it to, nor do I want it to. Now, when's that Mabel Normand box coming out? Well, I already discussed how Buster Keaton was my gateway drug into the silence. So, what do I consider to be good entry points into silent film? Well, with regards to comedy, in spite of my underlying love of Keaton, I might actually be quicker to suggest the works of Harold Lloyd.
Harold Lloyd, never seen it.
And I say that because his persona as the slightly nerdy everyman, I think, is a little more relatable, and the character that he played, with odd exceptions. I mean, the whole glasses thing was more a springboard than anything else, but usually he played an everyman, somebody who just worked at the department store, worked at an ice cream parlor, was a hand on the family farm, that sort of thing. So anyway, this would be Lloyd's most famous film, Safety Last, and you may very well have seen that picture of him hanging from the clock somewhere before. If not several places.
Yeah, somewhere.
Now, Safety Last is not my favorite of Lloyd's movies, although it's not too far off. It's somewhere more or less in the upper tier. But this, I think, is a good starting point for silence, especially silent comedy, in that it kind of hits both targets, both the character and the more gag-driven, thrill-driven ones. So the first half of it revolves around Lloyd working at a department store and just being absolutely poor, and he's moved to the big city to make it. He's stuck working at a department store. His girlfriend from whatever small town he came from decides to come visit him, and he, through a series of coincidences, comes up with a publicity stunt to make some noise for the department store and make himself, I think it's $1,000 if memory serves. $1,000 in 1923 dollars. Adjust that for inflation. So anyway,
Still, that's not bad for 1923. $1,000. It's near the Depression, so that's not bad. $1,000. That's some big going.
Climbing the side of a building. That's the publicity stunt for the department store. And basically everything that can go wrong, short of death, happens. So, with regards to, this is the Criterion Blu-ray issue of it. If you're into documentaries, this is also a good one to start with because this includes the documentary on Lloyd called The Third Genius, another Kevin Brownlow-ism. And it was in 3 parts. Here in the States, I think it aired on PBS.
Yep.
And, over in England,
did, I
it
think.
would have still been Thames Television in 1989. So that makes it kind of a double win to me. So you can get a good entry point into silence and also get a good documentary and a pretty informative one. So obviously, I guess I'm going to have to mention Chaplin, and with regards to comedy, yeah, for that first shot, I'd say probably stick with one of the big 3 and then work your way out. So admittedly, my Chaplin collection is still mostly confined to VHS, but this is about as prized as my Chaplin DVDs get. This rounds up the shorts he made for First National, which became Warner Brothers years later. And the restorations on here are really good. Unfortunately, this is out of print and fairly valuable. But yeah, it's one of the few bits of Chaplin that I've ever really upgraded. I still haven't bought any Chaplin Blu-rays yet. I have one of the Warner Brothers DVDs from the mid-2000s, and it's got a horrible PAL to NTSC transfer going on. It's just, somebody walks across the shot and it leaves kind of a ghost behind. It's just kind of a mess. So I like Chaplin well enough. I have a lot of his stuff, again, mostly on VHS, and the big ones too. Gold Rush, City Lights, Modern Times, and so on. Great Dictator. But yeah, I've just never gotten around to it. But yeah, I suppose I should at least mention him. The conventional wisdom with regards to silent dramas is that you start with the works of D.W. Griffith. And I'm a little dubious about that wisdom. So to me, D.W. Griffith's work is more noteworthy if you're a student of film or you're a student of history. But if you're looking for something entertaining, they're hit and miss. So I'll get back to this one. But since we're talking D.W. Griffith, I suppose I should address the infamous one, The Birth of a Nation. And maybe just the act of showing this cover might not make YouTube too happy, so I guess I'll flip it over here. So anyway, my attitude about Birth of a Nation